So is there anyone that would like to be a lady-in-waiting today? Oh, anyone? You? Yes. We found someone that's going to help you, my lady.
Every garment would begin with a chemise. C-H-E-M-I-S-E. So the chemise is worn pretty much 24/7. You wear it when you're not wearing anything else. So it would be sleeping clothes. It would be your house dress. But when you start to put on your outerwear, then the chemise becomes the underwear. Okay? Now, we need to start with the overskirt. You find the slit that's in the front. So there's the slit. Okay? So you hold that. I'm going to take off my face shield for just a moment. We have to make sure that the orientation of the skirt has the split in the front. And you'll have to help me. See that? Now note that the underskirt does not touch the ground, but the overskirt does. Why would a noble lady want to drag fabric on the ground?
Anyone?
Why? Yes. She can afford to wear expensive fabric and let it drag upon the ground.
You see, the nobles, if you don't know, a noble, they're the people with money and power and influence. And if you have lots of money, you can buy expensive fabric, and trust me, this fabric here, this lovely color, is expensive. And if you can afford to have a lot of it getting in the mud and getting all dirty and dingy, well, that shows that you are very much high on the scale. You have lots of money that you can waste it on that. So the more you have, the more you want to show off. Because believe me, money is power in our day, and people love to show off just how much money they had. Fashion was big in our day. It got so bad in the 1300s, it was all about shoes. And Paris was all the rage with your shoes. And they had shoes, at least mine are just typical medieval boot. I don't go for classy except for this. But my shoes, I don't care. But now, in that time, they had points. Sort of like elf boots that you would call today. Well, they got so ridiculous that the points kept getting longer. So long, in fact, that they got to where they would have to tie strings on the ends of the points and they would walk their shoes when they walked down the street. Because there was too much of the shoe and they would trip over it. But they wanted to show that I can have this much material in my boot that I don't really need, but I can spend money on it because I'm rich. So they would walk their shoes. And they had to walk their shoes and they would trip over their own feet. Now, I tell you, I do like to look good, but I draw the line at walking my shoes. Oh, good. You stalled just long enough, and now she's ready.
These are known as houppelons. And you can see there's a nice drape to the fabric, and the inner fabric is velvet. Why do you think they would have all this extra fabric on the sleeve?
To show off how much money they have.
To show off exactly how much money they had. Now, the very high fashion ladies wore houppelons that touched the ground. So when you stretched out your arms, the houppelon, the dag of the houppelon, the point of the houppelon would actually touch the ground. What expression, makeup, do you think they could do much work in an outfit like this? So what happens when wealthy people or famous people make a fashion fashionable? Yes? Yes, and as they become more and more popular, who wants to imitate them? Other people. So the very poor couldn't afford to, but the rising middle class, the bourgeois, they could. Now they might not have velvet, they might have cotton or linen, but they started trying to make their fashion imitate the fashion of the wealthy. So they started wearing houppelons. But the problem with that was what? Yes.
The rich people didn't like the less than wealthier to do that.
They were so far beneath the rich people, they didn't even notice what they were wearing. But the bourgeois who were trying to imitate the fashion of the wealthy, what did they have to do every day anyway? They had to work, right? What happens when you got these fancy sleeves and you're trying to work? The sleeves get in the way.
You take them off.
So what expression do we now have that we still use when we have to get over ourselves and go to work? We have to...
Somebody said it.
Do what?
Somebody said it. Say it again.
We have to roll up our sleeves. And we still use that expression from this time period.
And there are some, now I've seen some garments you can actually take your sleeves off because they're tied, like you'll see the Duchess's sleeves are tied. So if she, heaven forbid, decided to do work, not obviously going to happen, but if she were to decide to work, she could untie the sleeve so that it wouldn't mess up the material, and then she could do the job that she wanted to do.
If you note, this particular garb that I'm wearing today is modeled from a very famous queen from the 1500s. Do you recognize which queen I might be imitating?
And give reference point. Think of Henry VIII.
Ah, yes.
I keep seeing the same hand come up. Come on.
Anyone, come on.
Does anyone know?
I think the young lady over here does, but
Absolutely.
I'm trying to give someone else a shot.
Do you have an idea? Yes.
You're about 60 years too late with Elizabeth I. But you're in the ballpark.
Yes, good job.
Who was Elizabeth I's father's
Second.
second wife?
Who's also related to Elizabeth.
Okay, go for it.
I don't think it's right though.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Diana?
Not Diana, although good eye. Whose crown? Whose crown was modeled after this queen's crown? Diana's crown was the same crown. So this crown is an imitation of the crown that Princess Diana wore when she married Prince Charles. But that was the same crown that was worn by another queen. Queen Mary too. Her sister. No, not her sister, her stepmother.
Yes. It gets complicated.
Anne Boleyn. You know Anne Boleyn?